Check, check. Check 1, 2.
1, 2 of the check.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of What Are You Scared?
Or something.
This is Sam, of course. Hi, I'm Brendan. Today we will be reviewing the movie Barbarian. Barbarian came out this year. It was a great horror film. Really liked it. What did you like about it, Sam?
Ha ha ha. Did I get you?
It kind of did, actually.
I think it did, yeah. I was just reading over my notes. I did like it. It was Brendan's idea to watch the film.
Indeed.
Huh?
Indeed.
Oh, indeed.
Indeed.
If you need a job,
Norman Daniel.
indeed. Shout out to Norman Daniel.
Norman Daniel,
he's
baby.
a buddy of ours.
Newport.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scene.
Hey, we knew we were going to do that. God, I got Doritos all over me. Not sponsored. Barbarian. So it came out this year. Brendan, you saw it a few times before we watched it. I had never seen it.
I think I just saw it once. I think I just saw it once.
All right.
I saw it with my friend Anthony and my roommate, and it was not what I was expecting. I expected it to just be a typical good old-fashioned jump scare type movie. You know, you just throw it on with your friends, you just kind of have a good time, you have a good laugh, you know, nothing too deep to think about. Boy, was I wrong.
We were wrong. He
Boy.
was wrong. I was wrong.
Boy, was I wrong.
I mean, even if you attempt to be like, I know where this is going,
You don't?
you don't. Not at all.
Not even close.
So this movie came out this year. Just kidding. Last year, because it is 2023.
Oh,
as
yeah.
we are forgetting, as we the timing, the time of the recording of this video. So it stars Georgina Campbell as Tess.
Gorgeous. Probably,
yeah, she's beautiful.
Might be my wife.
It could be his wife.
If she ever
Yeah.
watches this, hello.
Yeah. He probably a 4 to bring. He's gonna marry you.
You say she's probably a 4?
Nope.
Okay.
I said you could probably
4 out
afford
of 5.
4 out of 3. She fine.
Even better.
Even better. Stars her and somebody that you might have recognized if you are a fan of horror movies. Bill Skarsgård.
Which I am.
Which he
And
is.
so is this guy.
Yeah.
Who's a clown.
I was. And Justin Long.
No,
if
not you. Not you being a clown. It's Bill Skarsgård.
Oh, yeah. He played it.
Georgie.
I thought you meant I was a clown. Come down here.
I mean, you're funny. You got good jokes, but you weren't a clown.
Bozo was a clown. So Justin Long, Bill Skarsgård, Georgina Campbell, Justin Long. If you know another horror film, Tusk, we haven't seen that. Might do a review on that. Not sure. But he's from that. He's also from Dodgeball a long time ago in 2004. So what I have on IMDb.
Oh, yeah. That's what he's from. That's where I
Yeah.
recognize him from. Okay.
Immediately. I'm just like, he was funny in that. He was the teenage love puppy, as one of them referred to him in the movie.
Who was he in love with? He was in love with the girl on the team, right?
Yeah, she was
Yeah,
the other
yeah, yeah.
cheerleader.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the one guy was attracted to the really ugly girl from Romanovia, the
Oh, yeah.
friend, Stella Noskovic.
The guy with the glasses?
Stevitsky. No. The Owen. I don't know. So on IMDb, the only thing that this says, and I like the bio of this, it only says a woman staying in an Airbnb discovers that the house she has rented is not what it seems. That is putting it lightly, I would say. So, we'll.
Oh, God. Oh, boy. What's happening? What are you doing?
I gotta wipe my hands off. I'm going like this the whole time. You fart?
No, it was the chair. It was literally the chair. I did not toot. We say toot. We say toot around here. I don't like the word fart. Kind of gets, I don't know, it just sounds nasty. I like toot. I do. I actually do. I have made it a point that at the school.
Cookie jar with no cookies. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. All right.
We say toot around here.
Yeah, I heard you.
All right.
Toodaloot. Okay. So this movie, I got out my little notes. Brendan took some notes of himself. Not himself. Brendan took some notes as well. So the Barbarian starts off with
Barbarians.
So the Barbarian starts off with the girl. What's her name in the
Tess.
Tess? Yes.
Tess.
If you're a fan of Ocean's 11. So it starts off with her in her car, and I wrote down it starts off with those scary voices that are all the same,
Oh yeah,
like the same voices.
I remember that.
It was like
Yeah,
it's like a choir,
like a choir.
yeah, low,
Like a demonic choir.
demonic choir,
And it is raining very, very hard.
yes, demonic choir. That is my new band name.
That's pretty cool.
I like it. Yeah, it's a good name. I wrote down the annoyance of Airbnb. So she's annoyed because she gets to the Airbnb and, like Brendan just said, it's raining and she cannot get into the house. I don't know if you've ever experienced this yourself. We once were on a vacation in Tampa, and the lady that was owning the house gave us like a tour, and like for her to be there in the first place was weird, and she was there for a good like 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, that was so
we were just like, all right, when are you gonna leave?
And then I thought to myself, maybe she might be living downstairs, and then we wouldn't be able to have as much fun and as loud as
that would've
possible.
sucked. Yeah,
But she didn't, and she eventually left, and she was a nice lady.
yeah, she fucked off somewhere. So our main character Tess is like really annoyed because she can't get in the house. That would be so annoying because it is raining. And she's like trying to call the owner, and they're not answering, texting. She's like freaking out. All of a sudden, and this is early in the morning, right? Or it's like late at night, something like that. So all of a sudden, she knocks on the door. After knocking like 50 times, I believe, and Bill Skarsgård answers the phone. What's his name again?
Answers the phone.
Answers the door. What's his name?
I forget what the character's name is.
Keith.
Keith.
Our boy Keith comes to the door, and he's like, "Fuck you want, bitch?"
Knock off Harry Styles, as I like to call him.
That's what Brandon says now. He doesn't say, "What's up, bitch?" He was just like, "Can I help you?" And she's like, "I'm staying here." He's like, "Well, I'm fucking staying here." Yeah. So I wrote down here, "He the clown!" Exclamation point. So if you don't know, Bill Skarsgård and his brothers are also famous. If you ever seen The Northman, his brother in real life is the main character in that, and their dad is in Chernobyl and also in Good Will Hunting. So that's a little tidbit there. So when she walks in, she's like, she's figuring out like what the hell is going on. And he's like, "I'm as confused as you are. Like, why would an owner rent this out to two people?" And then he's just like being a nice guy. He's like, "Why don't you just like stay here? Because I'm not gonna let you have nowhere to go." She's here for an interview. And he's like, "I'm not gonna let you just,
Job interview, not a news interview.
Thank you for specifying.
Yep.
And she, so he's like, "I can't just let you, go off in the rain or whatever, like, why don't you just stay here?" And she's like, No. And there's like a lot of, I feel like you immediately put yourself in that situation. You're like, this is such an annoying situation. But like, if you're a guy, you're like, I don't want her. If you're a nice guy, you're like, I don't want her to be, alone somewhere. Like, why don't you just stay here? So he like offers her the bed. He goes to the couch. But then from a female perspective, she's like, I don't know if I want to stay here because I've never met this guy. It's raining. It's dark. I'm not close to home, and he could be anybody. So,
Which is I would do the same thing.
I think
honestly.
both reactions are normal, and then you could see him being like when he sits down and like she comes back and he has the wine open, or he doesn't have the wine open. He like the bottle is sealed.
That's
He's
two
like
glasses.
He has two glasses. He's like, why don't we?
And he's coming across super awkward too. So like he almost seems like he's kind of trying to hide something, but I think he's just nervous, and he's not. And it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, or whatever the heck the time is, and he's probably all flustered from waking up at that time to a random stranger at his house, that he supposedly rented out, so.
Right, and he's trying to, like I said, he's trying to be nice, and he was like, "Oh, I have, these two glasses of wine, but I didn't want to open it until you came over here from the bathroom, so you saw me opening it, so I wouldn't." I don't even know if he says I wouldn't poison it, because him saying that is just like, all the more creepy. But I wrote down creepy vibes from him. I feel like he's trying to be nice right off the bat. I think he set her up. So what I'm in, and probably, I don't know if you felt this or other people, you're like, "Oh, this guy's clearly like setting her up. This is going to be a movie about, him trapping this girl here and, doing God knows what to her. What I noticed is that she doesn't ask him why he's by himself, which I thought was weird.
Yeah.
But he says, I think when they're sitting down drinking wine, she eventually like drinks the wine with him because like I think he makes her feel more comfortable, and she's also assessing the situation like, I can't leave.
Well, at some point, doesn't that come up when she's finally comfortable? And then he said he was in the area looking for something, and he's the guy. I forget what he says.
Yeah, he was like, I forget what they're doing. Something with music, I think.
Yeah. She's doing something for film, and then he was the guy. Like, I'm one of the founders, he says. Like, and she was like, no way.
Yeah,
and we're looking for a new place to film or something, or
something like that. Yeah, you could be on it, but like, yeah, even then I was just like, I don't know. I guess, but I was just like, oh, it's kind of weird that he's by himself. But this is because I'm thinking that this is what the movie's about. I wrote, I knew she was gonna have a glass of wine. He's easing into this, whatever it is. So you're thinking that.
Yeah, he gonna kill
her. So I also wrote hotels are more stable to begin with. Like I think structurally, like somebody's gonna be there. Like the door is usually always open. The automatic doors.
But are you talking about like the bricks or the bricks they use?
I have time for this. No, I'm talking about hotels are just more like secure, not with the way that they're built. Just that like you're more willing to get screwed over with an Airbnb than a hotel
because there's multiple rooms.
Well, because
it's a hotel. So if they're like, oh shoot, my bad, here's another room.
Yeah, but it's like corporate. So it's like,
oh, okay, I got
you. Yeah. It's like, I'm guaranteed to have a bed because they said so. And if they didn't, I could call their headquarters, or I could just go on in and be like, hey, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. This is like no one in the house. You don't know where the owner is.
You could call corporate, but they're just going to be like, well, I don't know.
I have no idea. Yeah. But I also wrote interesting cut.
A little sick, sorry.
Interesting cut when she goes back to the bed after waking him up.
Interesting cut.
Probably like the
interesting cut. Which cut was that?
When she goes back to the bed after waking him up.
What cut was that?
I don't remember. I don't know, but there was a cut when she goes back to bed after waking him up. Maybe it was like something weird, and I was like, ooh, that was weird.
I remember they would constantly use a cut where it would just like kind of zoom in, and then it would just bloop, and then just be like them laying in the bed, or her laying in the bed. They also did that when it gets to daytime as well.
Interesting. Yeah, speaking of daytime, then you realize the neighborhood is shit.
Trash.
And it's the only place that's nice is this house. So the outside of these houses look terrible. There's graffiti, they're run down, things are broken. And does she realize that the area's right, because it's in the beginning it's raining and it's dark and you're just like, oh, this is like a fine neighborhood. And then so they're in Detroit and it's just looking terrible. So yeah, the neighborhood is pretty crappy.
Really bad. But however, their house that they're staying in is beautiful and pristine as compared to all the other ones that are around, which stands out.
It's really interesting, yeah, because it's just like it also adds another layer of like anxiety because you're just like, oh man, like what the hell? Does she know that she's staying in this area? Then when she goes in the interview, she tells the person that was interviewing her, she was like, oh, where are you staying? And she was like, oh, I'm staying in blah, 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 wherever. She's like, are you sure? She's like, yeah. She's like, you gonna be okay? She's like, I'm gonna be fine.
Yeah,
like, everything's gonna be okay.
I'm a tough girl, I think she says.
Yeah. You get that vibe too. She was just like, she seemed really independent and like cool or whatever. So she, I noticed, I also wrote down that the toilet paper's in the basement. So like, I just think that like anything that's like not on the surface level is just like adding, because we're watching a horror movie. So like, it's just adding to the fact that it's just like unsettling. You're just like, of course, the freaking toilet paper's in the basement. But yeah, so she's just like accepted the fact that she's with this dude. She comes back, and he's not there. And so then when she goes in the basement to get the toilet paper, the door locks. And then she's like starts freaking out. And then perfect timing, he comes back. And he's just like, Tess, like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? She's like, I'm stuck down here. Ah! She's like freaking out.
Had she had found the door yet, though?
Maybe. I might have skipped forward, but go ahead. You can talk about that.
Yeah, so while she's locked down there, obviously she's trying to find a way out. Obviously, there's a window right there, but she also sees this rope that is sticking out of the wall. And so she proceeds to pull on this said rope, and it opens a secret door. This secret door leads to a room. Weird ass room. She turns on the light, and there's a bed in there that looks disheveled, and a camera, and
that's it.
Pretty much like maybe some blood, like on the bed,
so, yeah.
dry blood, and maybe some dry blood on the wall. There was also like this weird green lighting that's kind of used. It was cool because it kind of reminded me of Saw, but
I was just about to say that. Yeah, like a Saw like trap room or something.
Yeah, it looked exactly like that. And then so obviously this is gonna freak her out, and she's just kind of like, nope, I ain't going in there no more. Like, I gotta get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mr. Keith shows up. He comes home just in the nick of time, and she's banging on the window. And obviously he can't get in because she still has the key in her pocket. So he can't even get into the house.
No.
So they eventually open the window and gives her the key.
Does she break? No, they both like open the window together.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
like looking up and he's looking down. He like can't really see her. He's like, "What are you doing down there?" She's like, "I have the key." Yeah. So then like she gets in the house and she's like, "I found this room." And she's like, does she tell him like, "Don't go down there"? And then he's like, "You gotta calm down. You like gotta calm down." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're telling her to calm down because you set this up, you son of a bitch." And then you're kind of, you know, if you weren't already like not trusting Keith, you're like really not trusting him now. She's like freaking out. I feel like how 99% of us would react if we like saw that. I mean, I would have got the keys and be like, "See you, Keith. Like, I'm out of here. Facebook me. You know, find me on Insta. Do something.
You're kind of handsome.
Right now, yeah. Harry Styles looking ass." So yeah, and then he's like, "I'll go investigate. I'll go check it out. You gotta chill. And she's like, "No, don't do it, blah, blah, blah." And she's like, I mean, she's like kind of caring for him, I guess, but like, it's like, because they're staying together for like a short amount of time, but also because they're like both human beings. So like,
well, also they have that great interaction where they're, you know, eventually when she warms up, they warm up to each other. They, you know, do end up having a glass of wine together, talking for a while. They end up making her bed together. And so they are kind of trusting of each other at this point. They even seem to like each other a lot.
Yeah, which is good. So, but like, I thought that, you know, it was just like all him being manipulative. So he goes down, and then like, of course, so he goes down, and it's like now like the scene becomes like more and more suspenseful. And he's like, "Oh, I'll check it out," and then she starts yelling like, "Keith, Keith, Keith!" Of course, he doesn't freaking answer. And then she's just like, "God damn it!" Like, oh, and then she starts walking down. I'm like, "No, go get the hell out of there!" Like, it's his loss. I wrote down like, I would run. I don't care about him, but curiosity killed the cat, because you could just tell she's just like, oh, because like she's curious. Because a lot of people are like, "I don't want to go down there, but like, what the hell is in this house?" And also like, okay, this guy that I met last night, you know, I don't want him to like, I don't know, I don't want something bad to happen to him.
Yeah. I mean, he did seem like somewhat of a nice guy, but, you know, in the back of our head, not that she knows it, you know, we could see him as setting her up.
Which I thought, yeah.
But, yeah. So she goes down there, and then she sees the room that, like, I had originally talked about, but then there turns out to be another door that leads to a staircase that goes way down deep. Way down deep.
The square footage, which we'll talk about in a bit, square footage is way bigger than it seems.
Big stairwell. Looks like a cave.
So
looks like a damn cave.
Like a damn cave. So it's very suspenseful. She's torn between saving him and I think like also not trusting him, because she keeps going further and further, and then you hear his voice, but it sounds like it's so far away. And then she and the audience, us, are like, "How freaking big is this place?" And she just keeps going and keeps going. And then she, like, probably one of like So it scared the living hell out of me. And you could take it
Well,
away.
Keith does pop up eventually, and you hear him like, Tess, help! Oh my God!
Yeah, well, he's not. Well, he starts crawling.
So
So he's crawling towards her out of the darkness.
crawling towards her, and she's using her iPhone light, and she's like relieved, kind of like, Keith, we gotta get out of here. We gotta. What's going on? He's like, shh, like we can't go that way. That's where they are. And she's like, who? Who's over there? Who's that way? And he was like, that's where I think he said he gets bit or something, where he got bit or something.
Yeah.
And then out of the darkness, out of the unseen, comes this monstrous, tall, old hag. I don't even know.
White hair, butt naked.
Butt naked, looking ass witch. She looks like just like a witch, like how I would picture a witch.
A witch, yeah.
And,
out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, just bashes.
Takes his
and
head.
bashes. Just right onto the side of
murder
the
him.
wall.
Like, get him.
Boom.
I'm not saying
Boom.
that. I'm like,
Boom.
my head is not facing
They are
the
zoomed
screen.
in on Harry Styles' head, and he is just getting the work.
No more concerts at MSG.
Oh my God.
He dead.
He is gone. He is a goner. No more It the Clown. No more concerts. No more anything. He is gone.
Dunzo.
Dunzo.
So she smashes his face to bits, and I'm just like, my mouth is wide open, and all I could think of it now, is the theater's reaction.
Oh,
Was
I
probably
wish I was
insane.
there.
Well, the craziest part, yeah, I wish I was there too. But the craziest part is that, like, we have the ability at home to pause.
Yeah.
The theater doesn't. So what's crazy is that, like, this happens, and then so she smashes his face to bits, and then she yells, right?
I'm pretty sure she's
She like screams, and then the scene cuts, and it's black for like a good 5 seconds, and then you just see Justin Long on the highway, beautiful highway,
California.
in his convertible in California, just like singing tunes, and I'm like, what in the motherfucker just happened? And I paused it, and I'm just like, if you thought you knew what was going on, you had no idea. It would.
As Sam was writing his notes, and when that scene, when that finally came to bit, you know, all that, I literally looked at him and I went, yeah, you thought those notes was going to mean something? You got to redo them.
The switch in that scene, I wrote down sicko mode Bohemian Rhapsody-esque, because they are just just an utter shock of what happened, because, like, at least for me, I thought that Keith was the bad guy, and then he's like, there's somebody down here, and then he's gone. So they cut to Justin Long. He's in the car. What's his name? AJ. So AJ's in the car. And, oh my God, wait, I just saw something. Wait, the mother's played by a man. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Matthew Patrick Davis.
Oh.
Shit. Okay.
That's
so we can
crazy.
talk about that after. So AJ's in the car, and he gets a call. He must be in some sort of show business. He gets a call from his two agents on the phone saying that a girl has accused you of sexual assault. He's like, oh, what the hell? Like, this is bullshit. And then so we kind of just see his life in a few scenes, like, deteriorating. Like, you don't really know, like, if he's guilty or not. And so he's, like, meeting with, like, his accountant, and he's meeting with, like, other people, and his accountant's like, you have some property in Michigan that you could sell to help you with the money, but basically, like, your career's over. I'm pretty sure his agents fire him, so he is just, like, under, like, a firestorm. But you can kind of tell that, like, he's not, like, the best guy. And of course, this episode is spoiler. So obviously, if you didn't see it, you probably shouldn't listen to this episode. But I think it was what I noticed later. Somewhere over the rainbow.
Over the rainbow.
So what I noticed later in the movie that I made a connection with is that when his agents are like, this girl accused you of sexual assault, rape, pretty much. He was just like, oh, what? That's, like, unbelievable. Like, what the You're guilty, bro. I mean, if you react like that, I'd be like, whoa, what? No! I'd go out of my mind. But, like, the way that he did it, he's like, oh, come on, man. Like, he's still driving the car. I would have been like, pulled it over and be like, oh my God, I didn't do it. Oh, I'm innocent.
I'd be so scared. Oh my god.
Yeah, you're sweating already.
I'm already sweating.
You're beaten along the beaten path. Yeah, so he's like, he has a reaction of somebody who did it, and then like, so he goes to Michigan, and his like agent or one of the managers or something is like, I advise you not to go there because like now you look like you're just like running away from the
Running
problem.
from the feds.
Run from the feds. And I wrote down, crazy how your life can change with one accusation. That's what happened, but he's also guilty. So he's douchey and kind of like comedic. And I wrote down drinking never helps. And he probably drank when he was with the girl, but
Well, yeah, he drank. He drank a lot. When he goes to Michigan,
yeah,
and then meets up with one of his best friends, and they get very drunk.
right.
And then his friend asks him, "All right, man to man," and of course they're slammed. So they're like, "Man to man, what happened? What's going on?
What'd you do?
What are you doing?
Did you really? Come on, bro.
Like, let me know." And he's
Bro.
like, "Dude, all right,
Here's the thing.
we did have intercourse, all right."
Yeah.
He says the F word, but you know,
Yeah. We did have intercourse.
we did have intercourse.
But hey, she wanted it.
She wanted
me so badly. I'm the man. I'm the king. Leo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt. Psh,
it took a little convincing, at first, but then
That's
she
the fun-
wanted it.
She
and then
wanted it,
she
trust-
really wanted
Yeah,
it. Is
yeah.
what he says.
a little convincing. That's a good word. Yeah. So this douchebag clearly did it, and then he goes back to. So we realize that the house that he owns is the house from the beginning. So you start to make the connection, even though you're probably still messed up from like Bill Skarsgård getting his head, turned into oatmeal. So he ends up
Quaker Oats.
Quaker Oats. Society of Friends. So they said his agent or manager or whatever was like, you probably, like, do not contact the girl. He's like, I just want to call her, like, ask her what happened. So then, of course, he's drunk after the bar and he calls the girl that he sexually assaulted and was just like, come on, like, we need to talk, like, whatever. Which is
Leaves
like,
a message.
leaves a message, voicemail, the worst thing you could possibly do, because you're done. So ends up throwing up in the toilet. And I just wrote, he's a classic dumb narcissistic Hollywood asshole.
Yeah. He
Who's like-
just thinks he can get whatever he wants and do whatever he wants without any repercussion whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just like a terrible personality to have.
So he does in the morning after throwing up, he is staying at this Michigan house and he sees like suitcases and like other items that are clearly indicating that somebody is staying there. So he's like, what the hell is going on? I also wrote down, people don't seem like they call the cops in Detroit. Wait. Oh, we'll edit that out. I also wrote, people don't seem to like to call the cops, but Detroit doesn't have any staff available. Because he's like, I feel like in every movie you're just like, just call the police, just call the police, just call the police. But I feel like if you're in that, a certain mindset, you don't really do that. But they, was it the girl in the beginning? Or at some point, the Tess calls the cops, and they're like, man, we have no staff available, which is insane to think about.
Well,
Or was it him?
Tess comes home from the job interview, and she gets chased by this homeless man who comes out kind of aggressive, and he's like, "Oh, don't go in that house! Don't go in that house!" She's screaming at him. He's screaming at her.
And you think, well, we won't say what it is now.
And then so this homeless man, he comes around.
You don't see his face.
You don't see his face. He's got a hood on, and he's like kind of like chasing her, and
Yeah, he's like, hey, lady,
and
lady.
yeah, and meanwhile the viewer's just like, you got to get in that house before this guy freaking murders you.
house.
So she gets in the house and she tries to call the cops, and basically the operator is just like, hey, we don't have any staff because it's Detroit and we got a lot of stuff going on. That's probably more important than you.
Yeah.
Um,
And they probably, who knows, even believe her.
yeah, they probably think she's a crazy person like everyone else.
So all you see is just like her coming back, and this guy's like, hey, lady, and you're just like, oh my god, this guy's like trying to attack her. This neighborhood's so bad. So she walks in the house. Well, this is the scene before. Oh no, okay. Is this the scene before he starts measuring? This is the scene after. So
Well, Tess is like, this is even before that cutscene.
Okay, so that's even before. So we're jumping around a bit. So like, let's stay linear here. Linear regression. So our douchebag character AJ is like, I need to make money. My life's like over, but he's also like, he's still thinking about money. And meanwhile, like if you were accused of that, like I don't think I'd leave my house. I would just be like so depressed and crying all the time. But so he like ends up finding out that there's more space to this house. So then he starts measuring the square footage, and then you're just like, oh, he's going down there. He's like, oh, he's realizing that there's like a lot of this house. He's probably like, what the hell is going on here? Nope. He's measuring it to get money for the square footage because he looks up on Google or whatever. He's like, can you get money for square footage that was not listed?
Different,
exactly.
Footage. He found the rope, as you can imagine, like tested as well.
Right.
So that led him to the room with the camera in it, and then of course the door that leads to the cave.
So yeah, he discovers the door that leads to the cave, and he gets a tape measure, and it's kind of a comedic scene. I think there's like some lighthearted music in it, and he's just like every time like he keeps going and measuring, he's like, oh my god, this is like amazing, like I'm gonna get so much money, and he legit passes the room that Brendan was talking about before with the camera and the weird stains and the green lighting, and he's just like, he goes in there, 99.9% of people would be like, what the hell is this? I didn't know this was in my house. He's like, another room, yes. And you're just like, this guy's the fucking worst.
He even sits on the bed and doesn't even realize it's covered in dry blood. And then he's like, he casually sees it and goes, ooh, ew. And then that's it. That's the only concern he's ever had when he was looking at any of the rooms or the cave or anything.
So then he continues to go, and then he hears something. And then he has a gun, right? And then this is when the old lady comes out of nowhere.
Well, he pretends that he has a gun. He doesn't even have a gun.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because he's so much of a coward and
He's
just
a
like
bitch.
he's just weird. And yeah, like he goes down there with like a flashlight and I think a knife. And
Drops the knife because he's like, hey, and he's like shaking, but he can't see
because
anything.
his tape measure gets pulled on. And
That's right. Yeah.
gets yanked. And so obviously now he knows something or someone is down there with him, and he shines the flashlight at them, and he's like, "Hey, get back!" So now he, instead of trying to go, maybe like trying to get out of there, he goes deeper into the cave.
Yeah.
And he starts getting chased by what killed Harry Styles, aka Bill Skarsgård, aka Keith.
And then he gets put into he falls down into like this pit, like the Rancor pit. And then all of a sudden above him, like it gets closed, like a cage gets closed. And then all of a sudden he's like screaming, and then boom, jumps out Tess, and she closes his mouth with her hand, and she's like, shh, shh. And at that moment, I was like, thank God she's alive. I was just like, and I literally wrote it down. I was like, such a relief to see Tess alive. But that was like a really creepy scene. Not as creepy as the first one. And then it cuts again, the third cut. And then we're taken back to like the 1960s or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's this old man. He's and the first thing that you notice is that the neighborhood is beautiful.
It's beautiful, pristine. Very. What do they call those homes like back then?
The picket fence houses, like
Yeah.
cookie cutter.
Yeah. It just looks really nice. There's grass everywhere. The grass is not like cut. None of the houses are destroyed. There's a lot of people out in the neighborhood enjoying the beautiful day. And we follow this old man who's in his car.
Creepy looking dude.
Yeah, he looks a little. He looks like he's not showing any emotion whatsoever, and he's
Yeah,
kind of tall,
very
lanky. And
He goes to the supermarket, right?
yeah, and you hear on the radio too. What do they say? We're talking about one of the presidents. You remember which one?
Eisenhower.
I don't remember. Whatever.
Kennedy?
Anyway, yeah. So he goes to the supermarket.
Reagan. It might have been Reagan. Was it the 80s?
Yes, yeah, it was
I
Reagan.
think it was Reagan. Yeah. So it was not in the
80s.
60s. It was 80s. Yeah. But the neighborhood is pristine. So he's living at the house that we have, the house of the entire movie that we've been seeing.
Mhm.
And this is the third cutscene of the movie, right?
Yeah.
This is like the third
cutscene.
act, if you
Yeah.
will.
Yeah.
So, and I love how it's like cut into parts. The movie is really good at explaining things smoothly. Like at first, when you cut to the scene, with the scene with AJ, you're like, "What the hell?" Because like, what just happened? What is going on? And then it just like smoothly explains everything. Because it's like confusing, but it's not like you have to wait 25 minutes. And then they unravel and unpack it really well.
And
so-
without like blatantly like saying like
this is what's happening.
yeah or sometimes in scary movies the main characters will be like we have to look back at the history of the house and like do investigations, but like this it just unravels like for the viewer to like figure
What was that
it out.
word? Admirals?
Unravel.
Admirals.
Ravioli.
So he's in the supermarket, and he's like buying a bunch of stuff, and the employee of the place is like, "Oh, you getting some like baby stuff? Like, you must have a midwife. Like, why didn't she send you with like a list?" And he's like, "It's just me."
He says that's so weird too.
It's just me.
No, midwife.
And then she's
just
like,
me.
"Okay,
Oh, okay. Oh,
wow, okay." Still same creepy noises. So the creepy noises when I don't know if it was him when he was in the car. When Tess was in the car in the beginning, you hear those noises. I don't know when it happens. So he buys all this baby shit.
like you're saying that the music switches over.
No. The noises that we heard. Remember, it sounded like
In
a
the
choir.
beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
come back. I know when
that
they
comes
come back.
You
Yeah.
know when they come back? Do you know when?
Yes. Yeah. So he.
We'll get to that if it's later.
It's not too much. Later.
Okay.
He. So he buys this. So they're gonna have a home birth, is what he tells the attendant at the.
Why are we calling it attendant like
The
it's a
flight
gas
attendant.
station? The stewardess.
She's
She's an employee.
Employee at the
It's like a
Stop and
Stop and Shop. Yeah, it ain't a Stop and Shop.
Employee at the 80s Stop and Shop.
Reagan Stop and Shop.
Reagan Stop and Shop. Reagan Schnapp and Schnapp. And
Reagan
so
Smash.
he, yeah. So he, so they're gonna have a home birth. So then he gets out. He gets out of the store, goes into his car, and as he's pulling out of the parking spot, he is staring directly at this woman.
Like, you know how like if guys say like, "Oh, man, like look at that chick," and you just like kind of do like a quick like glance. This guy would not know the rules of how to look at a girl. He's literally just like in his car. And he's just like this.
He's got his hand on the wheel. He's just staring at her. Like,
The car's facing this way. He's looking this way,
Yeah.
and he's looking at her.
and then so this car that the woman gets into pulls away, and he starts following this chick.
Tailing her.
So then all of a sudden you're getting a bad feeling in your stomach because you hear the radio talking. You know, he's got music playing, and then it pans all of a sudden or cuts to
Only pants.
him parked a little bit further away from this lady's house. So he's followed her to her house. And then he gets out of the car, and then that's where the music switches because he starts putting on a fake uniform of a what is he supposed to be? Like a plumber or something?
He's checking maybe like an electrician or something, and like so he knocks on the door and she's like, "Yes, can I help you?" I don't know why they think they're in the South. They're in Detroit, and he's like, "Yeah,
Yes.
we're looking for there's some sort of
outage. He says an outage, and we're making sure everything's okay.
And she's like, "Well, come on in. You want any cookies or something?" So he comes in, and she's doing whatever. And does she have a kid?
We don't see them, but I feel like the house she's living in definitely gives the vibe that there would be kids there.
Right, and maybe like the husband's at work or something like
Yeah.
that. So the guy comes in, and he goes to the bathroom, and then you see him open the window or unlock the window.
He flips the switch to keep it unlocked.
Which
And-
I didn't know at first. I didn't know what that meant, and then you told me what it meant.
Yeah, because he turned on the faucet so you don't hear him unlatch the window. And so you could maybe assume that possibly he's going to come back later at night, maybe sneak in somehow and do whatever he does. Clearly, he's not a plumber. Clearly, he's not an electrician. His shirt says Carlos, and he doesn't look like a Carlos.
What's his name? Ben Carlos. So I wrote down that the movie is great at different twists. At first, I thought the guy Keith was bad, and he's not, and then he gets killed. And then the guy that we were talking about before, the guy who was like running at her, like going, "Lady, lady, lady," we realized that he's nice. And he was just trying to help her because what do we end up finding in the house? The mother. This is so when the scene cuts from Mr. Carlos here,
Mr. Carlos. Well, he opens the basement door of that house, and you hear screaming.
Oh yeah.
You hear screaming.
This is why it helps to watch the movie multiple times.
Screaming from the basement. So you could assume that maybe he's like kidnapping people.
And the camera shot is just picture a basement or a view to the basement far away, and you're in your kitchen.
Yeah,
Like the camera was so far behind, and he opens
like
the
it's
door
down the hall. Like he's going down the hall and down the stairs, and we're all the way over here. You know, and you hear like some screams and stuff. So you assume that maybe he's got some ladies down there this is just his thing. Maybe he abducts people and brings them down into the basement or in this cave or something. And yeah, and then we pan back to our main characters.
Yeah,
right?
so it's AJ and Tess are in the Rancor pit, and of course she's like, who the hell are you? Blah blah blah, or something like that. And he's just like, we gotta get out of here. And of course he's in hysterics. And she's like, dude, calm the hell down.
He's like
shut
freaking out.
He's
so annoying.
He's the worst character. And so it's like she's freaking out, and then so the mother that we just so I say she's a mother. So that's what in IMDb her character name is, Mother.
Mother, yeah.
So she like reaches down, and it's just like a crazy shot of just like her hand, and then you just see a big old
Baby bottle.
breast and a baby bottle. So the baby
Oh
bottle.
yeah.
And then
Her hair's
so-
coming down too, and she's like,
oh yeah. So Tessa's like, just drink it, just drink the bottle, and he's like, no. So like Tess drinks the bottle because she's just like, I'm gonna do what this thing wants because like
way bigger than me and freaking scary.
yes, and we just want to do what it does, or what it says or what it wants to do, so we could just like figure out how to get the hell out of here. So of course he's like, I'm not drinking that, blah 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 blah. So, and then she takes him out of the pit. And you see this little room where there's this TV on the ground and there's this mattress, and it's just like this old like video of how to breastfeed.
Old school '80s video that you see that the that old man picked up when he was.
I didn't
store.
notice that.
She gives him the DVD and she goes, "You might need this as well." And then he throws it into the basket, and people kind of forget about that.
Wow,
so
I
you can
didn't-
kind of assume
good.
that the video that's playing on the TV is probably that video, and basically that video is how to breastfeed.
How to breastfeed. So that's just playing, and then so basically the mother is like dragging AJ. He's screaming. She drags him to this room, and she's like forcing him to breastfeed. And
That's all she knows.
That's all she knows, and it's just like a horrific scene. Tess, is she able to escape?
So
right?
she climbs out of the pit and she's about to escape, but then unfortunately, I believe she steps on the tape measure, which then makes a loud
sound,
noise.
yeah. Tape measure coming back again.
And then of course the mother, who's the old hag, turns around and.
Yeah, that scene was just like.
So now Tess knows that, oh God, I gotta get out
I
of here.
better run.
So she is running. She's running back the way they came in.
And I said to Brendan at this point, I said, "Would you run
faster than Usain
You
Bolt,
put me next to
baby.
Usain Bolt. He's got no chance."
He's got no
Yeah.
chance.
So she's running her life out.
So she's running back up the stairs, and so she gets to the the main part of the basement, and you can kind of hear Mother in the background, and just and
Come back, Carl, Jimmy, Miss Fowl.
and then so Tess ends up breaking the window, and she climbs out of there. And as she climbs out of there, you just see Mother just is a little too late. She
So it's one of those scenes where you're just like, "Come on, get out, get out, get out, get out!"
because
Like
her legs are still inside, but her their upper half is outside of the house.
I'm like,
She's
for the
crawling out.
crawling out. I'm like,
Crazy.
for the love of God, like, please get out. And all of a sudden, she's helped by somebody, and I'm like, who
Oh,
is
yeah,
it?
yeah,
Keith
yeah.
is dead. So then it turns out to be the guy who we thought was running after her. This is what I was talking about before, how there's like a lot of different twists. So like you don't see his face when she's trying to get in the house, and he's like, lady. She's like, get out of here. Like, and she thinks it's like some guy like trying to like, I don't know, kidnap her or whatever. And then realizes that, and then you see the mother in like the sunlight.
Yeah.
And it's like creepy,
Oh,
and she
she's
just goes
disgusting.
disgusting. So
She looks like the guy that lives under the bridge in Lord of the Rings, kind of.
Gollum.
Yeah.
kind of. It's Gollum's
like
mother.
but like a bigger, very huge, way
bigger
bigger.
breasted
Gross.
version of him. So it's Gollum's mother. So he helps her out, and he's just like a homeless guy, but he knows everything. He's been living there for a long time, so he knows the deal. He's like,
You can't go back in there.
that's exactly how he sounds.
You can't go back in there.
You can't. She bad. So he knows that she's like crazy, and he's like, it's safe, not near her.
Tess is screaming, "We got to get the cops."
We got to get the cops, and he's like, lady, this is Detroit. Like, the cops are not going to come.
They don't give a damn.
Yeah, this has been, since 1980. So, she goes by herself. She gets in her car, and she ends up
No,
going.
she just walks.
She walks, goes to.
But she looks so disheveled and muddy and gross. Her hair's all over the place. So she walks all the way to a gas station, asks for the phone,
Yeah,
and
calls the
what were you
cops.
saying? Calls the
What I
cops.
was going to say is that she kind of, unfortunately, sorry, Detroit, no offense, blends in with some of the homeless people.
Yep.
So this is why when she eventually calls the cops, they're not as receptive. And I wrote down how this was a crazy scene with the cops because it's wild, but it oddly makes a lot of sense, and there's a lot of anxiety because she's just at these two cops screaming, "You have to help my," or I don't know if she calls him my friend. "You have to help this guy. He's trapped by this woman." And they're like, "Lady, like we don't have time for this." And you can hear like dispatch in their car, just like 10:32, we got a shooting and blah blah blah. And he's like, "Oh my god, why am I a cop in this fucking place?" And then she's just like, "Oh, like, are you out of your mind? Like, you gotta come." And it's like, it's frustrating. And there's like a lot of anxiety in the scene. And she's just like, "You have to come help." Like this, she already killed one guy, Keith. She already killed the clown. Now you gotta come help this guy. And the cops are just they're not having it.
We unfortunately have dinner reservations.
That ain't unfortunate. I'm starving. I can't wait.
Well, I'm starving too, but
No, it's unfortunate for the fans.
For the fans.
Yes,
we do it for the people.
We do it for the people. So
we're gonna continue this episode.
we got a lot more to talk about.
On the next one, because we're only like halfway through.
Halfway through.
50%.
Yeah, so we got a
stuff
lot
to talk
more
about.
coming at it. Yeah, we'll see it again.
Peace.
All right, so clearly me and Brendan here are in different outfits.
Really?
We had dinner reservations.
Yeah, when we were recording, we had dinner reservations, and that's what I was looking at my watch. I was like, we gotta go.
We best be going. We don't want to miss
gotta
these reservations. Generations of reservations. So we're gonna jump right back into the review for the movie The Barbarian. So last we left off, I was talking about the wild scene with the Detroit police, and our main character Tess basically flipping out because the police officers were not very responsive to her pleas and her cries that her friend Justin Long, what the hell's his name? The character? AJ. The cops were not receptive to her saying, "There's a guy in the house and there's a crazy naked woman and he might get killed." So the
That does sound crazy when you say it,
It
So, and they're in Detroit, so
right, and there's crime like
all
left
the
and right.
interesting people that are around that area, the cops are definitely like, this lady's crazy.
Crazy.
She's also dirty as hell.
Mhm.
She just escaped.
Yeah, so it's us as viewers at home are like, "What are you guys doing, you cops? What are you guys doing? You're supposed to protect and serve the guy in the house." But it's Tessa's point of view and ours at home, and the cops are probably like, "Derek, we got another one. All right,
We got another one of these loonies.
if you speak up one more time, you're getting locked up."
They literally kind of said that because she was like trying to kick the door open. Remember, because she didn't have the
Right.
key, and like she brought them back to the house, and he was like, "The only crime I've seen committed here is a broken window, and you're trying to break in right now.
Yeah, you're a little B&E action right now.
So if you don't stop, I'm gonna have to bring you downtown."
That's true. So then what happens? So she goes back into the house, and then I think the next scene, if I'm trying to get the sequence correct, is we see AJ go into the back room because I think he hears something, or I think he just keeps expanding in the house, and then he sees the old guy who we saw in the second sequence of the movie, because it kind of goes into three sequences. It's the first with Tess and Bill Skarsgård's character Keith. Then it jumps right into AJ in the car, and he's on the sexual assault charges. And then the third sequence is the 1980s with him.
Yep.
And then I guess the fourth is back to our present day time. So we see the old guy in a disgusting room.
Super disheveled.
Yeah.
White hair.
Yeah, he's obviously a lot older.
Coughing. Barely alive.
Yeah, he's not looking too good. I hope he didn't have a date later that day because
he wouldn't look too good.
not really. Maybe he would look good to his I don't know what that
Maybe you're into that,
the mother. Yeah,
Disheveled.
Hey, to each his own.
Old people.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Yes, indeed.
So then what happens, Brendan? They he's having they're not really having a conversation because the guy doesn't really speak.
AJ kind of I feel like feels bad for him. Kind of. He's like, "Yo, we got to get you out." what are you
Because
doing down here?
Right, because he doesn't know who it is.
Yeah, he has no idea who this old guy is. And then AJ says the magic word, which makes things go crazy. Is AJ says, "I'll have the place swarmed with cops around here, and we'll get you out of here, and everything will be safe.
We'll get you away from this crazy lady
Yeah, and so then,
who's trying to breastfeed me.
oh my god, breastfeeding, goodness. And then so then the old man keeps pointing to his little like side desk, and AJ has no idea what the freak he wants.
Because he's not speaking.
Yeah, he's not speaking, and he's just like pointing, and so AJ gives him water, and then at that point, the old man does drink the water, but he also wants something else, and AJ is just like, I don't know what the hell you're saying. So he brings over the whole table, and then the old man then rummages through the drawer. And then he pulls out a handgun, and AJ thinks to himself, "Oh God, he's gonna shoot me now."
Mm-hmm.
But instead, he just,
Yeah, super disturbing, and out of nowhere too. First time you saw that? Did you think he was going to do that? Because you can't, in my opinion, I think a lot of things go over my head, which is why it's good for me to watch these types of movies. Is because I'm just like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like I didn't see that coming.
I don't know what I thought he was gonna do.
It's not a very predictable movie, in my opinion.
I thought possibly. I did kind of put together that maybe, this is the old man and that he's, keeping people captive. So I thought maybe he was just going to hold them at gunpoint and be like, go back with the lady and like,
Right.
I don't know, do something weird.
Go get breastfed.
Yeah, or something.
Do we remember what was on the TV behind AJ?
Well, there was nothing on there, but AJ did put the tapes in that were laying around the old man's
but we don't see
room. Yeah, you just hear like screams and slapping, and
So there's VHS tapes lying around with.
they're all labeled.
They're all labeled with female names.
Female names, yeah.
It's like if you guys have ever seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Dennis's sex tapes all have labeled of just girls. It's like Melissa, Jessica, or whatever. Think of it like that, but this is in a non-comedic, more disturbing text. So
They say like redhead lady from the gas station,
Oh,
and
yeah.
like some others. I don't remember all of them, but there were some, and they were dating back. Definitely the 70s. I remember seeing. They would have the dates too, 1970.
yeah, because when we are introduced to him in the 80s, we presume that he's already been doing this, because remember when you said that when he opens the door and the camera is panned all the way back and you just see him at the end, you just hear
Yeah, you hear screams coming from the basement.
Oof, so disturbing. So
Unless you just had a horror movie on,
yeah. Hey, you never know. That breastfeeding movie looked like a horror movie to me. One of the things that AJ says after he sees the VHS film, which we don't see, he's like so disturbed and disgusted by it. And what does he say? Like, how could you do this, you like sick son of a bitch, or something like that? And then during him saying that, we're like, all right, yeah, he's sick and he's kind of disturbed. You're currently on like rape charges, guys.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. He's not so different from the guy that's laying in front of him, which is crazy.
They obviously did that, that on purpose.
Yeah, just like a crazy comparison, and you wouldn't even think that, but of course, like they're both terrible people. It's so funny. And
well, his character's so interesting because it's like, is he either in denial or he's like, what I did isn't that bad, I'm a movie star, or whatever the hell his job was, like a producer or something like that, because he's like, oh, like this stuff that I'm watching on the VHS, like, dude, you're crazy, like what I did, oh, yeah, she wanted it, but we were drunk, whatever. It's like, whatever he does isn't as bad, and to most of society, we're like, you're an asshole, but to himself and his ego.
Yeah, his ego is just so high that he's trying to like deny everything and like play it just so he always looks like the good guy no matter what.
Exactly. So, Grandpa, gun of the neck.
Goner.
He's done.
Dunzo.
So he's Dunzo, and then AJ takes the gun, and he's like, all right, time to get out of this bitch. So he starts walking, and then I think it cuts to Tess coming into the house to save him. And she's like, and you can't see because the hallway's long and it's dark. And she's like, I don't think maybe she knows his name. She's like, AJ, or whatever like that. And all you see here is pop, pop. And I'm like, God damn it. I'm like, come on.
And of course, like, because
And he's
of,
like, sorry.
yeah, oh my
I'm
God.
like, you idiot. You are the worst.
Like AJ's character is so dumb. Like oh my God,
literally
he's so
shoots
clumsy and
Tess.
everything too. Like it's so funny because his ego is so high, but like meanwhile he's not confident at
idiot.
all, and he's just like an idiot. Like and he shoots fucking Tess. Oh,
That was so annoying because she's the protagonist. I mean, she's everybody's, favorite character. There's not many characters, but we're just like, she's the strong one. She's very tough. She's also selfless because she could have easily got the hell out of Dodge, which I would have, and but she's like, I can't leave him in there. And she's going to save him, and she gets shot. So like, it just the horribleness and the negativity just keeps going. Like this movie, you're just like, oh come on, again and again. Like if you ever see Back to the Future, like when he's trying to get back to 1985. He's so close, and so many things go wrong. It's kind of like this, like a Murphy's Law, where you're like, oh my God. So AJ runs up to her, and I think he like carries her into. You were in a deep trance right there. I just see you.
it's been a long day here at Caffeine where we film.
And so, he then goes and like I guess helps her out of the.
Yeah, so AJ kind of helps her get out of the house.
But where's Mother at this point? Crap.
Do you remember also Tess runs the mom over, this mother figure over at some point and crashes into. Oh, that's what she does. I think she crashes into the house, and it's at night.
Yeah, that's why she's able to go in.
Yeah,
because she is. Yeah, so she crashes into the mother. She basically like squishes her into the house because she's coming out of the window, right?
Yeah.
And then she's like, all right, she's dead. Let me go get AJ.
Yeah.
And then as they go out, we don't know where
Mother's not
she's
there
not
anymore.
there anymore.
Her
So
body
we're like,
did look limp, and it did look like she was dead. But
I mean, she's squished against the side of the house with, a sedan or an SUV type car. So she gets smushed. And then Tessa's like, great, like things are looking good. Gets shot by AJ. Then they get out of the house, and then they find that so Mother's not there. They're like, ah, crap. And then the homeless guy comes, and he's like, all right, come with me. You can't be out here at night. So he brings them to like his little area. It's like through a fence, and he's like, she can't get over here. She's not going to know we're over here.
I'm telling you, she can't get through.
She can't get through, and I think Tess and AJ's like, we got to get the fuck out of here. And he's like, you ain't going nowhere until that bitch is back inside.
She only comes out at night. She only comes out of the house at night.
This is why this guy is alive, because he's like, I ain't going over there.
Which is also an interesting point. She only comes out at night. So in the beginning of the movie as well, like when she's with Bill Skarsgård, Keith, her door opens by herself. Right. Can we assume that might be Mother coming upstairs, checking on him, and then Tess is just like, hey, were you checking on me last night? Like, imagine it's Mother. They don't show that, but
they don't show it. But the only reason they just don't show it is because we haven't been introduced to her.
Yeah.
And we're still in Act 1, if you will.
Yeah.
And because most of the viewers, including myself, I was, at first I thought Keith was,
he's
luring her in there.
He's a weirdo.
Yeah, he's a weirdo, and I'm like, he's probably like checking in on her. She's like, "Did you check on me?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, "Obviously, it's you, Bill." Bill Keith Skarsgård. But yeah, I would imagine it's
Harry
Mother.
Styles knockoff.
Yeah, looking ass. But yeah, no, I would imagine it's Mother. So Mother gets squished, and then she comes out of that. Tess comes out of the house. She's not there, and then they go over to be with the homeless guy, and she's like, Tessa's like, well, how do you know that she's not gonna come? How do you know she's not gonna come back? He's like, she ain't coming back here. 2 seconds later, boom, Mother
crashes through the wall.
Gets the guy,
rips the homeless guy's arm off, and beats the crap out of him with his own arm. And he's just, and Mother's like, I'm gonna find you too. Whatever
that's
your
my
names
baby.
are. Whatever your names are.
Whatever your names are, yeah. So also what's like yeah, play footsies. Also what's interesting is like, is Mother human? Or is she just like a humanoid type deal? Because it's either she's just really disgusting. But she looks like she's 7 feet tall.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. But I guess we're supposed to
Because
be
it is a horror movie.
we're supposed to be assuming that like because there's been so much inbreeding that like
Yeah.
it caused this. Like this was the final outcome, let's say.
So we're gonna get to like what we like later on in this, what we actually think like how this happened, and like the older guy and the mother and the breastfeeding and all that stuff. So the homeless guy gets his ass beat with his own arm by mother, and then AJ and Tess run away, and then they run up to
The water tower. And also at this point too, of course, AJ's dumb character just leaves Tess like kind of at the bottom, and he takes off, and Tess is like,
He's so
"Wait for
selfish.
me!" Like, and he's just like
Come
going up
on,
to the
come
top. Come on,
like you're going
cheering her
slow.
on.
And yeah, because we're all like,
And she's shot still, so she can't really go that fast.
and he's like, "What are you doing? Like, come on!" And she's like, you shot me." So he's running up. He's at least 50 steps ahead of her.
Yeah.
And he's just the worst. AJ's just being terrible. So then, oh man, and he gets worse. So they get to the top, and then what happens?
They get to the top, and all of a sudden, AJ just realizes that they are stuck. There's no escaping.
There's
nothing to do.
Because is Mother on her way up?
Oh yeah, Mother's
Yeah,
on the way up
she
on the
is like,
stairs.
"I'm coming."
She's got to get her baby boy.
And she has some sort of extra human strength.
She's so strong.
This is why
Strongest
strength
woman alive.
and she's probably fast.
Could be an NBA
Marvel
player.
cast her.
Yes, NBA, Marvel, something. Just get her in the league.
Yeah, one of
Um,
these leagues.
And then of course AJ is just like, I can't do this. Like I gotta still live. I want to live.
As if his life is going so well.
And he's just like, he takes Tess to the side of the edge. Is just like, I'm sorry, and freaking throws her off.
AJ throws Tess off, and I'm literally just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I was like, "No!" So she's flying off, and then all of a sudden, and I knew this was gonna happen. The only part of the movie where I knew what was gonna happen next, Mother flies off, and it's a slow mo of her just.
She just jumps
Some
off.
Mission Impossible type shit, and she's. Oh, you ever see Pineapple Express? Remember when the one part where Seth Rogen's character and the music's so great, he's like attacking Ted Jones, and he all of a sudden he just goes like this. And like lands on him and then starts fighting him. I literally think of that.
It's so funny.
So, but the water tower is really high up. If you're obviously, I'm sure you've seen a water tower. So she flies off, and she kind of goes under Tess,
Yeah.
and like they fall, and you're like, okay, clearly Mother cares about Tess.
Yeah.
So then she saves her,
And AJ comes running
down
to check on him.
and he's like, "Oh, thank God you're alive, even though I threw you off."
And he's like, you just started to slip out of my hands, and like I didn't know what to do. I panicked, but thank God you're still alive. And Mother looks pretty dead, and he starts helping Tess, and then all of a sudden, Mother springs back to life, takes AJ
and
by the
kills
throat,
his ass.
and splits his head out like a pumpkin. You just took a hammer and just boom,
Yeah.
split it in half.
Or if you had superhuman strength, you took a pumpkin and jack-o'-lantern
yeah.
right apart. And of course, when that happens, I literally just turn my head and I go, "Yeah, he is done."
He's a don.
And I wrote down here, what did I write? I didn't mind when AJ dies.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, you know what? Fuck him.
he had so many chances to do the right thing, and he never did.
He just didn't. Yeah, 2 minutes before he throws Tess off a freaking water tower. So Mother murders his ass, and then there's a very interesting moment between Mother and Tess, where Tess is like still in shock. I mean, she's wounded from a gunshot by AJ. She just watched his head get split open, and this day has been nothing but easy. So then Mother but in her type of voice, she says like, "Kill me."
Well, she kind of just goes like Baba, baby.
Oh yeah, baby.
And
So you're like, okay, now
she
you
cares
start.
for Tess, of course.
Yeah,
And then Tess has just had enough, so she finds the little revolver, puts it at Mama's head, and just
boom, and she dies. And then Tess runs off into the night,
Into the night.
and then the movie ends. So the end of the Barbarian. And I wrote down here. I literally said when, oh, didn't she like kind of kiss Tess?
Yeah. Mhm.
And I literally go, aw,
Yeah.
which is
yeah.
crazy because like it's
This-
not crazy, but you're just like you feel bad because you're like,
This is all that monster ever knew, you know?
yeah, it's like babies, because,
Babies and like just I need to protect them, you know, and I'll do anything at all costs to do that.
Yeah. So I wrote down Final Girl, most classic horror films that I learned in my film class. Most horror films, especially the 70s and the slasher films, have a final girl where it's just like so many different characters die, but then there's always one girl that gets away, and usually she's like the innocent virgin.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. I don't know about Tessa's situation because this is 2022 when this was made. So. However, it's a female killer, if you will, but she doesn't really try to kill Tess. So yeah, you got the final girl aspect there, which is really good. So that's the end of the movie. And before we dive into what we actually thought about the movie overall, what would your score be? So here you have 8.5.
Yeah.
And if you want to read off what you told me about why you liked it, or you could just rattle off.
Yeah. I'll give this movie an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Maroons. No. I just thought the plot twist was just so amazing. The first time I saw it, obviously I did not see that coming. Thought Bill Skarsgård is just a freak. Just a unbelievable weirdo. Just gonna murder the crap out of Tess.
Yeah.
Does not happen.
Nope.
It's not a 10 because, in my opinion, I feel like it could have been longer. The ending kind of feels a little rushed. However, I am hoping maybe that there's a second one, Barbarian 2, where we kind of dive into what went on with the old man that would kidnap people and bring them to the house. So we kind of get more of a backstory on that. That would be pretty sick. And
You like the look of the monster.
I do like the look of the monster. I feel like they just did a great job. Whatever, if it's prosthetics, makeup. I mean, that thing does look like it's 7 foot tall. So
It looks like humanoid or whatever.
maybe they were on stilts or they hired a really tall person. I don't know, but that thing looks crazy.
Yeah, no, yeah. So 8.5 out of 10. I like that score. I go a little higher. I go 8.9, just because of how shocked I was, and the first twist when Mother bashes Keith's head to the side of the thing, and then she screams at Tess, right? I think she screams at Tess because she doesn't know it's she's gonna end up loving her, and then immediately cuts to AJ. Looks like he's on in Malibu or something in his car, and I'm just. And it just immediately goes into the next scene, and I'm just like, "Holy crap!" And then you go to the next act with the old man in the 80s, and you're just like, "What the hell?" So, and I just like the overall creepiness too. And I would agree with Brennan here that it felt a little rushed. So pretty high scores,
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
It was good. It was really good.
Yeah, it is. It is good. The acting's good. Everything's good. Not really jump scary. I don't really love jump scare
either,
type
yeah.
movies, only because I don't even find them that scary. It's just a reaction. It's like if I went to just go punch Sam right now, he's gonna react.
Better not.
And he's not. It's not necessarily being scared. You're just startled. So there's not too much of that, which I kind of like. And I feel like because we're not really told too much about the old guy and what he actually did, we could assume he did some terrible things, obviously. But
Right.
but there's still a mystery behind the story, which is kind of cool as well. And how I wonder how Mother came to be. She's
Mm-hmm.
just inbred and
So yeah,
Gross.
so I would say so hold that question. So I wrote down a lot of questions. So I feel like we should just talk about it. So first, I like the ending song is "Be My Baby."
yes,
Be my baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. So obviously the guy that runs the songs there had a good choice.
Good job.
So what did I write? Why did the man let this mother do her thing? we
Which man?
Why did the man let this mother do her thing? Oh, yeah, why did the old guy what's with the old guy why did he was he like, all right, I'm gonna have you captive down here, but you could do your breastfeeding weird thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's like he's like, did he get like a kick out of that? And like, well, we don't even know who Mother is, but so your theory that you said about Mother, go, like who is she? Like you said that she's remember the screaming lady downstairs?
Yeah. I mean, it could just be that like she was just captive. Well, actually, I kind of think that Mother is a direct result of the man probably raping
One of the girls from the VHS.
One of the girls, yeah, or multiple, like, yeah, and then that woman would have a baby, and then maybe possibly wait for that one to grow up a little bit more, rape that one, and then kill that one, and then just inbreeding, and then eventually it just created this being,
Right.
And you know,
and the mother is downstairs.
yeah, and so she doesn't know
So she's
anything.
pale.
Yeah, she doesn't.
She's never been outside.
She's never been outside.
'Cause
She only goes out at
night.
night.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then yeah, with inbreeding, like it can mess with like a lot of your, different DNA and like all this different things. So maybe if you were to do it enough, it gives you like crazy strength
To
and,
fall
like,
off a water tower and not die.
Like she probably is like she's not smart because she only knows one thing. It kind of creates like an animalistic being, right? But she's really good at the one thing, which is being a mother, because that's all she knows. She's never been outside. She doesn't know anything about society.
Well, it's like brainwashing in a sense of like, say, unfortunately, like, somebody kidnaps a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And then, they manage to escape 20 years. They're going to be like, well, this is my parents.
Yeah.
And like, you're going to be, that's all, all is maybe you were kept in a basement. I feel like there was a kidnapping story where
Oh yeah, there's
somebody
there's
was
a
in
bunch
a
of them.
barn for 20 years and had children.
Yeah, there's a couple different stories of that where like parents would have kids and they kept them in the basement, homeschooled them, like barely fed them, and then
that's all they knew.
And then yeah, I actually watched something on YouTube about that, and the girl could barely read, and like
Jesus.
Yeah, she was actually on like I want to say like Dr. Phil or Oprah, and she's fine now. I mean, I'm sure she has repercussions somehow, but she's like there was a whole family of them, like kids. Let's say there were like 5, and this girl's all grown up now, and she's like pretty and hopefully doing well.
Yeah, we would hope. So you think that Mother is so the old man raped a lady probably his age. She had a child, then he had sex with that child, and then created Mother.
Yeah,
But that's a lot of time.
yeah, it is. But well,
We don't even know how old Mother is.
because he was pretty old at the point that we saw him, and it was the 80s. And then what
So
time
that's like
period are we in when
So
Tess
this-
comes?
Probably 2022. So that's 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he was 50, he could be 90.
Yeah.
Because he looked terrible.
Yeah.
But it's like, why?
And
would
he could have started doing this as 21 or something.
That's true. Yeah,
don't really
but we
know.
only saw
We
the
only
one
saw
scene.
some tapes that like date to like 1960 maybe or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
but
who
I
knows?
feel like but also so like okay maybe he did this with all like but all the VHS tapes, like where are those people? But we were saying, who was the one that said
There might be multiple mamas. I think we were also saying.
yeah, because didn't who said the homeless guy said that's not even the worst part of the house.
Yeah.
So there was probably a back area where there could be, I don't know,
Maybe a
dead
couple of
bodies or a couple of these mothers.
Yeah.
And they take turns
Yeah.
abducting people.
Because she honestly.
All right, it's your week.
Yeah.
You got next week.
Because honestly, she does look different. The mother that attacks Keith looks a little bit different than the one that kind of ultimately starts running after Tess and stuff.
And she yells at Tess, but ends
Yeah.
up loving her.
Mhm.
Maybe that was her initial reaction to get her into the little cave thing.
Yeah. Or it could be a different one. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm hoping there's a second one. There better
Yeah,
be.
no, there's a lot of questions unanswered. So, but like going back to the old man, it's like, obviously he's sick in the head, but like that's your life.
Mhm.
You're just down in that basement.
Ugh. Yeah. Even himself. Yeah. That's freaking crazy.
Yeah. So he has.
And he's
like,
aware enough to do other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he owned the house. He went to the store and all that stuff. So, what else did I write? Yeah, where did the other babies end up? What were on the tapes? Do you think that AJ was so?
Definitely like him just doing terrible things.
Yeah.
There's women that he would keep slaves. In that room where there's a bed where that AJ just starts measuring.
Now it's interesting because like we love this movie because there was twist and it was creepy, but it could have been worse.
Yeah.
If they showed the tapes,
Oh yeah.
if they maybe showed more murder because that'd be more gory and stuff. So,
There's a lot you could have done with this, and maybe, like I said, I keep saying
Sequel.
Come on,
Sequel.
give it to me.
yeah. So do we know if this was R or PG-13?
I'm pretty sure it was R.
Yeah, I mean it's.
I could
yeah.
look it up really quick,
I mean,
but
it'd be
definitely.
double R if they show what was on the
Honestly, I
tapes.
don't feel like I would have watched it if it was PG-13. I hate when a scary
Yeah,
movie
you do,
is
yeah.
PG-13.
Well, we just watched X.
That was rated R.
Was it?
Yeah,
I feel like Chris said something was PG-13.
this is rated R.
Whatever. So yeah, that guy's he's definitely a sicko, and like I honestly am glad that we didn't.
X is rated R too.
Oh, okay, I'm glad that we weren't able to see what was on the tapes because
Yeah.
it was like that would have been. It's so deep into the movie where you're just like, oh man.
Yeah.
Because like in Midsummer, which I'm sure we'll talk about, pretty much right off the bat, we're like, this is a fucked up movie. Whereas this movie, Barbarian, we would have been like, all right, it's pretty late to show that stuff. I
Yeah.
guess. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It would have been just like really a lot more disturbing. It would be like kind of hard to handle. My last question: why kill the homeless guy? I feel like he was like, I don't know. It was just odd to me.
I feel like Mother.
Just to get to
well,
Tess.
Mother. Yeah, again, maybe just misinterpreted that. Like, oh my God, you're near my baby or something.
It's just a mother instinct. Like it's like honestly like in the wild.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna if you're a mother with your lion mother and you're with your cubs,
Yeah.
you'll fucking murder anybody that tries to get near them.
Yeah,
Any
yeah.
animal in the wild, pretty much.
Or yeah, and then like not even just an animal, but like a regular human mother would be like, who are these strangers? Who are you with right now?
Right. Because that's why she kills AJ after.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but why do you think Mother had Tess kill her?
Why do you think Mother?
To not go back in that house?
I didn't honestly get that vibe. I just think that like she was like happy that Tess was alive, and Tess just saw the opportunity, and like the mother.
No, she took Tess's hand and said, "Do it."
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I don't remember that, because I remember her just like putting like kissing her, and then Tess just is like reaching for the gun, and then takes it, and then just puts it up to her.
I could have sworn she made her do it.
I could see that happening, but I don't think that.
I mean, you saw it more than me,
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 times. I think she did, but all right, agree to disagree. Okay, so if she did, why do you think she would do that? And if she didn't, well, if she didn't, it's just because Tess...
maybe Mother was like hurt from the fall. She's like, crap. I can't, like, my legs are broken or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Shoot
maybe.
me like a horse.
Yeah, right. Or maybe she's like, I don't know where I am right now. All I know is this house. Maybe I don't want to go back in that house with that creepy old guy.
Yeah, I mean,
she doesn't
she's
know
scared
she's
of
dead.
the old guy.
Right.
She doesn't go anywhere near his room. Remember, AJ gets near the room, and then she like stops like halfway through the hallway.
Oh, I didn't.
And
remember
then
that.
AJ's like,
I'm going in.
Yeah, why aren't you like? Oh, okay, and he just goes in. And
He's
like, all right.
too curious.
Yeah.
Where he's just like when he was measuring the square footage, and he was just like, he sits down on the bed. Meanwhile, there's a camera and like weird
Yeah.
shit.
Well, yeah, he's just like
He's
so
just an
narrow.
idiot.
He's just so narrow-minded. He just
Right.
only thinks about himself, and that's it.
He's the freaking worst.
Can't even think about his surroundings. There's a bed covered in blood next to him with handprints on the wall and shit.
He's just the typical, just like douchebag. All right, so we're gonna run through some themes that Brendan and I came up with. The first one is don't judge a book by its cover, and the first one is Keith, because I guess you could say don't judge a book by its cover, but don't be so sure that you know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because me, and I'm sure other viewers that watched it were like, "Oh, Keith lured this girl into the house. He opened the door in the middle of the night, and he's just acting like a weirdo. But he's a super normal guy." But I mean, the part where I'm like, "Oh, he's obviously gonna kill her," is when she's yelling his name and he just keeps going further and further in the basement,
Yeah.
and he's not answering. But it's probably
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he can't hear her, or when he starts crawling, he's like, "Somebody's down here."
Well,
Somebody's
yeah,
down here.
well, like when I first saw it, I pictured like, oh, like he's just luring her in there, and then you hear him go, "Help, help," and I'm like, Tess, please don't go down there.
Yeah.
Like he's just doing that just to like be like a typical serial killer, and then obviously that does not happen.
But that also goes back to either Tess is really curious, because you could tell she's curious, like being like, "Oh man, what's down there? I could just leave too." Also, she's very good. She's good-hearted.
Yeah.
Because she goes to try to save Keith and then tells the cops to save AJ.
Yeah.
Multiple chances she could have got the hell out of there.
Yeah.
So she's definitely the best person in the movie. Don't judge a book by its cover. The homeless guy.
Yep.
Because they don't show his face, and you're like, "Oh my God, Tess is gonna get mugged or worse, raped or something
Tess
like
comes
that."
home from her job interview. She hears the guy coming, but he has a hood kind of over his face, so you can't see his face. So
Yeah.
and you just hear him like, "Hey, don't go in that house,
"Lady, don't go in that
and
house."
he's like knocking on the door, and he's like, "Get out of there, get out!" And so you assume that he is, a dangerous person, and then he actually ends up trying to help them.
Because he knows what's going on.
Unfortunately, to his demise.
Big time.
I wonder what
demise.
his name was. I don't think he had a name. He's just homeless guy.
He's just homeless guy. Yeah, I mean, he might have had a name.
You best be not going in that house.
And the houses too.
Oh yeah, well yeah, because everything around it is crap, and then this beautiful house. So you
Yeah.
assume this is a safe place. It's the worst place
It's the worst place
on the street and
Yeah.
in the whole entire area, probably.
That's just the cool part of the movie that I like that they did, is that like at night you feel like it's an Airbnb, and like every other house around it is like pretty solid, and then when you see it during the daytime, the street is crap, graffiti, the houses are like down.
They're like cut in half, basically.
Yeah,
They're
pretty
just-
much. They're like
it's like
well,
a war
this-
scene.
Yeah, this street is donezo. And the only house that's nice is the one that the Airbnb that Tess is staying at. So like, why do you think that is? Just because like, but that's weird too, because it's like the guys. Oh no, wait, because AJ bought it.
I feel like that also just goes to show like AJ's character, because he's so oblivious to
Yeah.
everything around him, and he probably got it cheap because maybe someone knew that like some weird crap was
But he
happening
doesn't
at their
care.
house, and he's like, I don't care, I just want to make money.
Yeah.
And like
He's so narrow-minded, where he probably, I could picture him walking up to the house and not even noticing the houses around him.
Yeah.
Just this house.
Yep.
But do you think that the old guy like had good upkeep with the house? I mean, he's in the basement
Yeah,
having 12 babies.
I don't know. I feel like at some point he probably would get too old to even like move, and he's just like, I'm just gonna squat all the way down below.
So, but I can't picture the old guy. I mean, maybe he did. Like maybe in before he got really sick, did he like? I can't see him like talking to a real estate agent and be like, "Hey, I want to sell the house."
Yeah, I don't know.
He was probably just weird about it. Yes, because it was his
We
house.
need that second one.
Yeah, that's really weird that he would like be downstairs and sell the house
Yeah,
and then just be down there. Well, because he's probably trying to get people to.
maybe. Yeah, I guess because he's not mobile enough to like lure
Right.
people in. So maybe he's hoping
Exactly.
somehow the cycle will continue.
Yeah, where he's just like, I can't move, so let's sell the house.
I doubt he could get it up
I doubt it.
to keep it going.
To keep it going, in other terms. So I think he was just like, let me get people to stay in this Airbnb, and I'll just lure them in, or just hang out while they're upstairs.
Yeah.
I know, it's very weird. So yeah, the houses are interesting. I wrote "People Never Change" is theme number 2. We talked about this before. AJ could have easily learned and been a better person.
Yep. So many chances. So many chances.
And he just, he could have, even in the beginning, he could have addressed, I don't know, the media, apologized, maybe went to jail and just like try to get his life back on track for like a mistake. But it wasn't a mistake because he knew what he was doing, even though he was drunk, but because he's just the typical douche. So yeah, he could have learned to been better. Could have saw good-hearted Tess. You would think that the traumatic experience like that would change him. At the end, he returns to his selfish self and throws Tess off the building.
At one point too, when they're talking to the old guy and he kind of keeps him in like a little safe haven, he even says like I really fucked up bad. Like I don't know if I'm a good person or a bad person. And you kind of see him contemplating, which is a great sign because I think to myself, oh shoot, maybe he is like thinking about it instead of just thinking about himself. And then he just throws Tess over, and you throw that out
he's
the
just
window.
selfish. Yeah.
And then he gets what he deserves, luckily. But still, like, at one point, you're like, oh, maybe you could change a little bit. Nope, not happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're like, you can get out with Tess because she saved your ass. But this was one that you hit on pretty early on, a man versus woman type deal. So Tess in the beginning talks to Keith about the safeties of women.
Yeah.
And how like, what does she say? Something like, "Oh, you could
like if it was the opposite way, I would have never let you in the house because I'm a woman. Like it just never would have worked out because whatever the case might be."
Yeah. So AJ and not AJ, Tessa and Keith are just talking about that in the beginning. AJ forces himself on a girl.
Yep.
It's like this, I guess, like male-dominated type theme that we're dealing with here. But then it's like he calls her when he's drunk, when he's not supposed to. And it's just like, it's just he's just the worst.
Yeah.
So you have that. You want to elaborate or not?
And then there was also like, I feel like there was one, even though Keith was as nice as he was, like there was some like subtle like things with
like power moves.
Yeah, like
well, I'll go check the basement.
Yeah, and yeah, like he didn't give like Tess just was like, no, we got to get out of here. Like let's just go, and Keith's just like, no, I'm gonna go check it. And instead of just like agreeing with Tess and just being like, oh, okay, it must be really bad. Maybe we should get out of there,
Right.
And then this is a small one, but just like in the movie Men, which is an A24 horror movie, the guy in the beginning who's also really nice doesn't, he takes her bags and he doesn't like take no for an answer, like because in a nice way, which I don't really mind.
I don't think that's a bad thing because it's just like, especially with like,
it's like old fashioned. It's an old fashioned like chivalry, type deal.
Right, but even if there's like possible danger ahead, it's like, all right, we're not gonna have this woman go, do this because that's like, I don't know. But yeah, you're right that like he's, instead of him agreeing with it, also Keith kind of does that too. He's like, he takes the bags and he's like, you're sleeping in there. I'm taking no for an answer. I was raised this way in Ohio or wherever the hell he's from. He's like, nope, I don't take no for an answer. It's like, well, I mean, you could because she said it multiple times.
Yeah, she said I'm all right, but
and that's also. No is AJ probably with the girl. No means no.
It's interesting because it's almost like three different levels of it. It's like a subtle like man versus woman with Keith. Then we get to AJ where it's like, oh boy, like he's forcing his himself onto girls and like possible rape allegations could be true. And then the third one is the old man who actually did all these things. So it's like three different levels of I guess toxic masculinity or whatever they're going for.
Yeah, male like just a dominated like power thing or whatever. But well, this movie is basically like, well, what's interesting is like a lot of the slasher films in the 70s and like just a lot of horror movies in general is like male killers going after female killers, final girl, sex type deal, all that stuff. And this movie is like making Tess the smart, the logical, the best character overall because she's just like, we gotta leave the house. It's dumb. Even though I'm in this like bad area, I'm still gonna go on this interview and I'll try to get the hell out of there. She tries to save Keith. She tries to save AJ, and the two people that survive at the end before Mother dies is the two women.
Yeah.
So. I also wrote. Well, you said the cops were male, and they're like, "Lady, you're crazy."
Yeah, everyone in the movie is a male. Even AJ's friend that he confides in about the bar, about the case at the bar. Like you might see people walking around in the background, but like everyone in the movie is a male. So it just kind of gives you that sense that it's just like a male run and dominated world, I suppose.
Right. Mother is woman and natural protective instincts. Okay.
She is.
Yeah. All right. I write these notes so fast, and I just write it.
We already touched on that. She's
Just
super
protective. Yeah, instincts.
That's all she knows. That's all she knows. We just go back to that. She's just been in the basement. All she knows is watch this video about breastfeeding and babies.
So weird. Keith gets bad rap even though he's, and I didn't finish the sentence.
Even though he's a lion tamer.
Even though he's a good guy, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he was saying something about he seemed like a guy that was he looked like a guy who would be awkward on dates.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, here's the wine. I didn't want to open it though. He's super nice.
He was just rambling, over-explaining.
He's definitely
everything.
nervous.
Yeah,
for sure. So that was definitely that was interesting. I liked the opening scene.
Yeah.
And then so the last theme I have is cowardness.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Man kills himself.
Yeah, so the old man, he's done all these atrocities, and as soon as AJ mentions the thought of cops coming to the house, he kills himself, which is just totally an act of cowardness instead of owning up to what you've done, which is exactly what AJ should be doing as well. Mm-hmm. But instead, he is in a sense kind of choosing the same suicide as this man because he's not dealing with his issues that he has created, and instead the man takes the easy way out, and then same thing with AJ, he's always looking for the easy way out the whole entire movie, and because he's a coward. Keith does not do that at all.
No,
he actually, he's fine. He's not he didn't seem. He wanted to go check the basement, so he's not really a coward,
Not at all. My God, yeah, and he goes further and further.
Yeah.
When you were saying that he doesn't man up to the shit that he's done in his life. If you guys ever seen Breaking Bad, spoiler, sorry. Towards the end, when Hank says to Walt, Walt's still denying what he all the shit that he's done, and Hank is like, step up and be a man and admit what you've done, and Walt just can't do it. So I always think of that.
Yeah.
Then AJ throws her off. That's cowardly.
Yep.
You didn't have to.
Yeah.
I was so shocked. It's you were accused of rape 24 hours before, and now she survives, but we didn't know that.
Yeah.
He almost murdered somebody.
Yeah, he shoots
the
Tess.
worst.
He's just so bad.
So selfish.
I'm actually even surprised he helped Tess out of the house, which is why,
after he shot her?
Yeah, because I thought he could have easily just stepped over her and been like, I guess Mother will take care of you. I'm out of here, Yeah. And that was kind of playing on, oh, maybe he does have a heart. And then the very next thing, it's just nope.
Right.
We're going to go the opposite way.
Yeah, well, that's
It's almost just an act, how a narcissistic person would be. They would just do it because they know oh, this is what you're supposed to do, but I don't actually really feel this, because ultimately he's trying to throw her off the water tower,
right?
Which is crazy.
Well, that's theme 2. People never change.
Yeah.
You're just the multiple times we were oh, is he going to be? Oh, no, he's the worst.
Yeah.
Then I said when he calls the victim,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of cowardly. It's hey, I did this, and the lawyer's do not call. Well, the lawyer didn't even want him to be out of the state because it's how do you think this headline's going to look?
Yeah.
Accused of rape flees and leaves the state, and he's I got to sell the property.
Yeah.
He's just driven by money and just all the negatives of the world, material items and all that shit.
Yeah, and also and we've all been there, you get the courage to do things when you're drunk, whether it be call your ex-girlfriend, even talk to a new girl or something,
Yeah.
And that's kind of cowardly because it's not really a representation of who you are, This is just the drunk version of yourself.
And
it's
when he was
easier to do that.
Right. And
which is cowardly.
He raped her when he was drunk.
Yep. Yeah.
So keep drinking. But then the lawyer's don't call her, and he's basically he's trying to change the story, be no, it's okay, just call me back, maybe we could work this out. What do you mean work this out? You fucking sexually assaulted me.
J. Cole, work out for me.
And
wanna
then
see go high and go low, care when you drop a thing down to the floor.
Flow! AJ never really freaks out when he's accused. That one, I was so like, because so you hear in the car is the two lawyers, male and the female, or his like agent or whatever and manager.
It's like 3 people.
Yeah, and they're just like, they already decided before they called we're dropping this client. It's like, I mean, honestly, nowadays when you see things like any famous person that does something, like if they have a sponsor, boom, they'll drop them. Like Tiger Woods' whole scandal, he got dropped by like so many different companies, but they call him and they're like, yeah, you didn't. Maybe we touched on this before earlier in the podcast, but they were like, she said that you sexually assaulted her. He's like, I mean, that's just ridiculous. I mean, and you're just like, well, he's guilty.
Jeez.
I mean, just
It's
so
crazy.
That's just cowardly.
Yeah, he's just like, oh man, what the fuck? I mean, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
You know what that was so funny? This is unrelated, but the one of the people on the phone just kept going, "You gotta calm down, man." And like he says it like 3 times, and the guy's just AJ's just like, "I'm not gonna calm down." What are you talking about? It's just like so funny. I love that.
That bitch ruined my life. Well, you did it.
You've ruined her just by possibly giving her a traumatic experience.
Exactly. Oh, I also wrote, going back to when Mother kills AJ, Mother saves future women.
Yeah.
From this horrible man, or just people in general. Him stepping over people, him, selling his house for more expensive because he found more square footage in a creepy ass dungeon.
Yeah.
But so like if you think about it, Mother she's not really a bad person because she grew up, however she was born, in this basement, and this is all she knows. So you can't really fault her. And I noticed that. I was like, wow, she killed AJ, and now future women or people are just gonna not be, related to his shenanigans.
Yeah. It's almost like she got her revenge without killing the old man, but at least she got, kind of like a revenge for any other women that's had to deal with AJ before. Just splits his head wide open. Yeah, and then she's grown up in a very barbaric manner, being down in the basement. Title of the movie, Barbarian. Barbaric.
Yeah.
Very barbaric. She's really not a bad person, honestly.
No,
she just
she's
knows
just
one
scary.
thing. She knows one thing, and she looks like a witch.
Yeah.
So,
but no, and I'm glad that they didn't do, because it looked like prosthetic. They did not do CGI.
no, not at all.
Which was really cool.
Yeah.
And it's like,
or at least not the kind that's so noticeable. These days there are some CGIs that are like we were talking about that with X the other night. Perhaps there was some CGI with what's her face, Shia LaBeouf's wife, when she's playing the old
Mia
woman.
Goth, yeah.
But maybe it's subtle, like
when she's what?
Mia Goth as
yeah, but what's the subtle CGI?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe there is like subtle,
Oh, with her being the old lady.
so
Okay,
old, but it's compared to like other films, like I've seen like there was the one horror movie, Drag Me to Hell, and when the gates of hell
haven't
open,
seen
you're
that.
just like, ugh, that just ruined everything. It just looks so shitty.
You were so close. But that's good that, like, shout out to Barbarian's, production team or whatever, that they were like, it's going to take a little bit more time, but let's not do CGI.
Yeah. Let's not do the whole thing
because it looks so much
with
real,
like
more real, and it's like, okay, that's cool.
Because I feel like there was a period in time, maybe we'll say like 2007 to like 2014, where all the monsters and shit were like CGI'd, and like you'd finally see the beast, and it'd just be this like freaking like computery graphic distorted looking monster, and you're like, this is terrible.
This is terrible. Yeah, this is awful. So yeah, Barbarian, you had 8.5, I had 8.9. So overall, just a really good movie. Not anything crazy, not anything too disturbing. I mean, if you think about it a little more, and the old man and like what he's done, you're like, ugh, that's when you kind of start to get like more disturbed and more uncomfortable. But overall, good movie. Good themes that we came up with, I think.
Yeah.
And definitely recommend it because it's definitely a recent movie. So yeah, episode 2 of What Are You Scared of Something? With actually our first horror review, The Barbarian. So next time for episode 3, we're gonna review X. X marks the spot. X-Files, X-Men, No, it's just X.
Just X.
So this came out also in 2022, I think.
Yep.
So we're starting off with recent movies. So we watched it recently. Brendan watched it. You know,
I
he's
think
seen
I've
it
watched
before.
it 3 times now.
Yeah. So which is good because it's like the things that we forget after watching it first, you'll be able to like remember. Because there's nothing worse than leaving a theater and you're just like, wait a minute, I forgot like most of the movie.
Yeah.
So we watched it with our buddy Chris. So he's going to be a special guest on the podcast.
Yeah.
And he's going to talk about X because he definitely loved the movie as much as we did. Yeah, we're going to give you our insight. We're going to give you our score, the themes, and we're going to run through the movie. So stay tuned.
Have a good night, San Diego.